All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Awaken to Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. If you're new to me, Shefaliburns, new to my channel on YouTube, if you're watching live, welcome, welcome. If you're watching later on YouTube, welcome, welcome. Please do subscribe so you can take advantage of all the current shows, all the shows coming up, all the previous shows. There's over 540 something. It is my deepest wish, desire, and intention to bring to you these amazing, wonderful speakers who are sharing their wisdom, their teachings, their experiences, their processes, their healings, etc., so that we can all thrive and so that we can all awaken to happiness now. And so today, my dear friend Avalina Maline is back with us, and we're going to be talking about returning to the 0 point within. And some of what we're going to talk about today is what is the 0 point within, how the 3D matrix construct of time limits access to our highest potential, how to identify and dissolve fear, illusion, and suffering, how we can experience limitless creation with the 0 point field. And of course, we are going to experience a cellular activation and transmission with breath work. So I'm excited about that. And so for those of you who don't know Avalina, she was here with us last season for the first time, and I absolutely loved the show, everything that we did. It was such a high vibe call, and the breathwork process was amazing. So just a little bit about Avalina. She offers support for the awakening process by sharing her gifts as an intuitive channel, an awakened multidimensional consciousness, and through her understanding of subtle energy to accelerate and harmonize awakening, embodiment, and the transformation of consciousness. So we're going to talk to Avalina a little bit more about her, about her journey, and about how she works with her clients and community. So please, everyone, join me in welcoming Avalina back to the show. Avalina, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's nice to be back again. Nice to be with
I'm
your
so glad to
community.
have you back. Yeah, you know, we always talk about there's so much going on. There's so much change going on externally, but there's so much change going on internally as well, right? Internally,
Yeah.
meaning our being, our emotions, emotional body, our mental body, our physical body, our spiritual body. There's just so much happening. And to be honest, when we talk about going within, that is not just something like it'd be nice to do once in a while. It's like self-care, self-nurture, self-love. No, it's a necessity. It's not a should be nice to. It is a must, especially for those of us who are working with energy, who are working with guides and angels and teams, etc., working with consciousness, and clients and community, of course, right? It's a necessity. So again, Evelina, welcome back. Um, is there anything that you wanted to share first before we get into the conversation about
Yeah.
change, transformation, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, I'll just piggyback off what you just shared and I totally agree. And I always find myself saying like, wow, it's getting more and more intense and, and it just keeps coming and coming and coming. And you're absolutely right. It is a necessity now. And if you're not, really working on becoming more aware, your reality is going to reflect it back to you, and it's almost going to like really push you. And that's why things are getting so much more intense, not only on an individual level but a collective level, because we're being pushed into going inward. So one way or another, you're going to get there. It's just whether you want to go through it with ease and grace or have the difficult challenges that kind of force you to go inward. But I will say that it's the opportunity now is a thousandfold. Like even if you go back a year ago and you work on the tools that you did a year ago, revisit them, because there's so much opportunity, there's so much support, and everything is actually, when you put the intention in and put the effort in, it's actually easier now. There's so much more available. There's so much energy available to us, so much plasma light available to us. So um, it's what we were doing years and years ago is, for people who are just coming online now and awakening, it's happening much faster for for all of us now than it was, even a year ago. So yeah, the intensity is just increasing and increasing and increasing, and it doesn't seem like there will be an endpoint. Maybe 2027 there seems to be a lot of energy that's going to be happening in that year, but up until then it's like, just keep using your tools, right? Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is the key. It is about continuing to use our tools as a resource, as a support for ourselves, but also what I was one of the key points that you mentioned is we're going to get there no matter what.
Mm.
But whether we want to get there with ease and grace or kicking and screaming, right? And there are, you know, times, days, sometimes there are days when we are kicking and screaming, and then there are other days when we are ease and flow. So that changes, from day to day, right? So as long as you're aware of that, that no matter what, you are always moving forward on your path, in your ascension journey, on your ascension path. You're always moving forward. There is no backwards. There is no true regression. We're always
Mhm.
moving forward, right?
Yeah, everything in
In
your
my
life is
opinion.
actually happening for you, for your awakening. And if you can view it that way, you will move on the fast lane.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great perspective to have, that everything that's happening is happening for me, for my highest good,
Mm.
for the expansion of my consciousness, and for me to have more ease and grace as I continue on the path, if I'm willing to be in allowance.
Exactly, exactly.
Right, and that's the key too. So there
Yeah.
are definitely times when I'm in resistance. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
I don't want to do it like this. But then there are other times when I'm in true flow, and you know that difference. I mean, I know you've all experienced it as I have as well. So one of the tools, resources, I guess you could say, that I strongly believe in and have in my arsenal is the going into the 0 point, going within, right? And that is a practice for those of you who might think, I'm trying to meditate, I'm trying to sit still, and I can't do it. I'm not getting there. It is a practice. But it's the more that you do it, the more that you sit down. Basically, it's just a sit, right? Your body, your mind, your energy field starts to get entrained to that field, but we have to do, our effort is just sitting still. Basically, for me, that's how it started a long time ago.
Yeah. What I always like to say is stop trying, right? Like stop trying and move more into allowing, right? Because we already are that. We just forgot. So when we just sit and allow, there's like a softening, right? Like we soften when we connect with the energy of allowing, and then we give their mind permission to quiet down. And it's almost like, you got to like get your mind on board, right? To allowing it to happen, and then it becomes less of like a thing I have to do, like when we say, oh, I need to sit and meditate, it almost feels like a burden sometimes, and then we don't want to do it and we resist it. So if you just take that out of the languaging, like I'm not even going to meditate, I'm just going to sit and allow. uh, it just feels better. It feels lighter and it feels easier, and it's just a matter of remembering.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
for me, it's just like, I'm just going to be in this moment. I'm
Mhm.
just going to be for the next moment. I'm just going to be. So there's no doing, because there actually is no doing in meditation. It is just being, right? Or
Yeah.
connecting into the 0 point within. It is just being. There's really, for me, um, it is, that's all it is. It sounds very simplistic. So can you explain a little bit to people who may not know or may be confused about what the 0 point is, and the 0 point
Yeah.
within, especially.
Right. Yeah, because we hear this term a lot and it sounds very scientific, and it actually is, right? Because we're in the process of marrying the, spirituality with science, because we're starting to get a deeper understanding. But that 0 point, you hear zero point energy, and which is everything, right? It's the all that is, right? 0 point is the creator, it's source, it's that universal energy. You could even say it's God energy, right? Basically, that frequency that holds the all that is of of pure unconditional love, of grace, non-judgment, forgiveness, right? It has all those higher vibrational frequencies that can shift and change your life on a physical, emotional, and spiritual level really instantly. It's not weighted, it's not or stagnant, right? It's very easy to work through. So when you go into that 0 point frequency, it is the frequency of zero, right? It's the absolute still point. It's the void. There's no past, there's no future. So it defies the walls of time, right? Because there's no such thing as time in the 0 point. So it's the vacuum, the infinite potential, right? It's that field of energy, the very uh, fabric that the whole universe arises from, right? It's the space in between things of physical space, of the space between thoughts, between moments, between timelines, or you could say possibilities, right? It's not separate from us. It's the very ground of our being. It's the source from which everything emerges. It's what connects, all of us, right? So if we think of our physical reality that we're experiencing, it's energy constantly sort of swirling and vibrating, right? Appearing as matter, forming here and there, constantly shifting and evolving. Yet underneath, is the fundamental energy of the 0 point, the source of creation. And our physical world emerges from and depends on that field of energy. So as we incarnate and we come to our human experience, we grow and we learn and we become used to the physical world, and we forget our connection to this field, and we identify as our thoughts, and define ourselves as our thoughts and our bodies and our emotions, and we create that sense of separation from the field. In a sense, that separation is what really is the entire Maya, right? The entire illusion we all hear about. So we're not separate from the 0 point. We're actually expressions of it, right? We're constantly interacting with it, shaping it with our beliefs, our thoughts, our feelings. So the more we become aware of this and start living from this frequency, as we said, with practice, right? And remembering, the more empowered we become, right? And it reminds us that we're not limited by the physical world around us. We're not bound by the constraints of perceived limitations of our circumstances. We are at our core beings of pure potential, capable of creating anything, really. And we, as humans, access that through our high heart, right? Through that pinpoint of light in our high heart. And this is where the 0 point frequency resides. This is what, when we hear heart coherence, right? This is what this means. It's from that space. You are the ultimate creator of your reality. There's no outside source greater than yourself from this point of creation. It's from this place that your whole world has been birthed, right? So this center point of consciousness, the center point of source within each of us, right? This is the space we want to attune ourselves to bring our awareness to, anytime, we're not feeling centered, or we're feeling challenged, or, in a difficult moment, or, this is the place we come home to, right? And it's from this place that all of our wisdom resides, the wisdom of your soul, all the wisdom of source is within this point, right? There's no distortion there. There's no it's pure balance, right? There's no ambiguity. There's no question. There's only knowingness in the center. It's from this place that we lead ourselves, right? That we find our home frequency, that we find our passion, that we find our devotion, that we find the and remember the love that we are. So, and then ultimately it leads others, right? We become that beacon of light and remind help others remember that frequency of creation and the connectedness that we all are. So it is a practice at first until it's no longer a practice. And then we just constantly have to remind ourselves, right? And you can do that with mantras, meditation, mindfulness, breath work. So breath work is obviously one of my favorites, which we're going to be doing here today. And I find to be a very potent practice to really thrust you into the 0 point at any given moment. So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell what I would say, like what the 0 point is, from my vantage point. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep, absolutely. And one of the things with um I always talk about connecting to the 0 point, or connecting to your inner core, your essence, your soul. Um, it's always there. We're always connected. So it's not like we're connecting to it for the first time, kind of thing, or 5 minutes here and five. We're always connected, but it's about moving our focus from our mind to that space. So it's about the attention and focus that we're placing on the 0 point for a few minutes at a time, and later that can expand into longer periods of time. So this is why I don't like the word connection, right? Because it's like we're always connected. That we are not separate from source. We are not separate from the 0 point. We are that, right? But our mind, our stories, our beliefs, um, take us into other different tangents and places instead of being focused on that 0 point. And that's why we talk about going within into the 0 point. But you're always there. So try and grasp that for a moment. You are always there. You're always at the 0 point. You are the 0 point, but our mind and our stories and our beliefs, etc., take us out of it, or bring our focus out of it to other things. That's really the only difference, right?
Yeah, it's
In
really
my understanding.
yeah, exactly. And it's what are you focusing on, right? It's who am I identifying as in this moment,
Yep.
right? It's such a key aspect for us to become sovereign and free. And it is the awareness and self-mastery of where we're putting our conscious currency. If you become the master of your energy, you start to build a natural armor to all things, right? So there's this, void, right? This empty vacuum of pure potential within us. And then there's the dance of everything else, right? The dance of the frequency of light. And you choose the frequency you dance with every day, in every breath. And this becomes like an identity, and you get to choose. It's never chosen for you, it's shown to you, right? So there's a difference. So you can heal all when you are willing to see all, right? So really becoming aware of, like, you know, always questioning, like, well, who am I identifying as? Am I identifying as my thoughts? This is why self-talk is so important, as we give so much energy to our inner dialogue, right? into what we're thinking about. So if we're doubting, annoyed, fearful, judgmental, all of these create the world around us. They create that or something similar. The thought and the feeling correlate and correspond with one another, and create a given frequency that, and that's what really kind of starts to alter and create your reality, right? So it's from your very own thoughts and feelings. They create the actual world that you live in. So we actually hold this power, right? We ultimately hold all the power. So this is why it's so important to really clean up your self-talk, right? How you think about yourself, how you think about others. What is it that you're telling yourself in the back of your mind, that's always there, that voice is always there, because we always have that inner dialogue, going. So we want to constantly remind ourselves, who am I identifying with, and what is my intention, right? Am I identifying as the eternal creator source being that I am, or am I identifying with the thoughts and circumstances of what's happening around me in the moment. And so we can make it simple. We can make it really simple and just distill it down to that. Like, who am I identifying with in this moment? And what is my intention? Is my intention to be the pure potential that I am, and to know, have all the wisdom and knowing that comes from my heart in this moment? Or am I gonna, go out with the identification of the stories, right? So if we just did that one thing, huge, right? Like, huge transformation can take that. If you just practice that, just that every day. Who am I identifying with, and what is my intention? Super, super powerful.
Absolutely. I love that. And what that also does, it brings you into the present moment as well, right? And so somebody mentioned in the chat about being in the present moment all the time. I don't think anybody can be in the present moment all the time, 24/7. But we can have more and more moments of being present, being more and more moments of awareness, being present and aware, more and more of those greater moments. And that is what's going to also assist us to access that 0 point within, be comfortable with that 0 point. It's not always comfortable. Be comfortable with that 0 point within, and expand that. It's not time. It's uh, expand how much we're being in the 0 point, because it's not time. And again, it is just the beingness, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. We can experience limitless creation when we allow ourselves to remember that we are the creators, and we keep hearing all these things, like, oh, we can manifest, and we're creators, right? And yet, you know, it doesn't really seem to be, apparent in our daily actions and our participation, and what we tend to experience all the time. So they can often seem like the opposite of that. But when we access that true nature and freedom, it's really just waiting to be remembered within ourselves. It's the only true access that we find that pure freedom. Our navigation system that directs and creates our reality, we have to fully trust, right? We have to fully trust and surrender, and come into that full knowing that I am an eternal fractal of source. I am my highest self. I am my eternal soul, or Holy Spirit, or whatever words you want to choose, embodied as a human incarnate, right? And when we come into that level of engagement, of identifying with ourselves as eternal, limitless creation, that spark of creation, then we access, I mean, goosebumps. We access that true nature of freedom and creation, because then we access creation beyond the limitations of the identity with the mind. We in the mind is where we hold the fear and the illusion. So it's only when we come into that level of identification with our identity, and not as the characters and the roles that we're playing, that we are able to access that scope of freedom, that freedom of creation. I mean, really, how you experience your experience is all up to terms of where you're putting your focus. Are you placing
Yeah.
it in your heart? Are you placing it in the 0 point? That place that's always accessible, that's always there. It's that place that you create from, right? Where it's what determines what you're capable of, right? It's where you determine your self-worth, right? The center point of consciousness doesn't know lack. It doesn't know separation. So when we're not identifying as that, we're creating lack or unworthiness, right? So it's unlimited creation, it's unlimited potential. So we want to keep attuning ourselves, keep reminding ourselves, and come back to this space as often as we can, right? In any given moment when you may have forgotten who you are or what you really are.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we get caught up in the drama, right? We get caught up in our stories and we forget whether that's for 5 minutes or whether that's for a couple of years, we
Mhm.
forget, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just about telling ourselves and that, okay, what am I focusing on right now? Let me refocus back onto my core, my essence, who I truly am, to that zero point within, to the source being of light that I am. Let me focus back on that. And
Mhm.
and when you do that, you can't do that from a place of like at the beginning. But I'm going to say you can't do that when you're in a crowded room, right? For that, you need quiet, you need stillness. And so in this case, I'm talking about a crowded room, meaning people, but also the crowded room in your head. Your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, right? All that stuff is crowded up there. So that's why you got to move back. You move down to the heart space where you can find that stillness, where you can find that quiet, where you can find that peace.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with our nervous system, right? Like when we're in a room and we're full of people and we can't find our neutrality, we can't find that space. Our nervous system is not relaxed enough, right? It's holding a lot of tension. So we can use the breath, right? We use the breath in those moments, right? It's one of the greatest ways of accessing deeper clarity and a broader bandwidth of awareness, is creating that practice. Drop into your heart when you're in a space or in a room full of people and connect with your breath, right? It's the first elemental pure source consciousness, right? That helped bring our spark within life, right? From the womb, coming down the birth canal, and then we took a breath, right? And the breath takes us back to all the layers and levels of the depth of access to our divine blueprint, right? So we can create a simple practice of attuning ourselves with the breath, right? And what would that be like, right? Let me try it on, right? I'm going to choose to create and the declaration with all of my bodies to the full declaration, trust and embodiment that I am pure free will, right? I have the creational range, and we let go of giving our power away, and we to anything outside of ourselves, right? And we go within and access, I am all knowing, right? So we can do that. The more we practice it, the more you can be in any space and find peace and love and harmony, right? You can witness it. You may have preferences of not wanting to be somewhere, right? But you can still be somewhere and not have it move you from your center, right? So even placing your hands on your heart, right, in moments is super powerful, right? We have extensions of our heart chakras in the palms of our hand. Putting that, it helps create a more tangible feeling, right, of centeredness. So yeah, it's all perception, it's all directing. We are the grand alchemist, right? We can connect with that breath and bring in our intention, and we can have that full access, that full remembrance of the here and now, right? The full access to all that is. We just really have to be diligent, right? We have to be diligent and really have a strong devotion, and that's kind of where we're all moving, right? Like everyone's we're feeling the pull, right? There's a stronger pull, like yes, and it's becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, and more people are waking up, and we're finding we're getting more intentional, right? We're getting more intentional with that desire to remember this point, and it's a beautiful thing. It's happening. It may not always be fun, but it is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Um, and my goodness, what was I going to say? Um, with the zero point field, again, it is very simple to access it. If you, I guess it's simple to access the zero point within if you don't overcomplicate it for yourself, right? Because a lot of times we tend to overcomplicate things, but it's really quite it's really quite simple to get into that zone, to get into that 0 point within, just to be and feel and experience. I'm a feeler, so I feel more than anything else. And that feeling of being in 0 point is, I'm gonna say, even indescribable, because it's experiential, right? It is definitely experiential. But so when we are in the 0 point, that starts to dissolve the fear, the illusion, the suffering. It's not anything we have to do. It's just the more that we are able to access and be in that 0 point, focus on the 0 point, and be in it, the the fear and illusion, suffering, separation automatically starts to dissolve and yeah, just dissolve, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to do anything. It just naturally happens. The hardest thing that I find what people have often is they can't even sit still. Like most people can't really even sit still. And then they get frustrated with their mind, and the mind is continuing to go. And even if you do find a little bit of stillness, it doesn't you know, you get frustrated because you can't hold it, right? And then you feel like that nothing's actually happening. And that's not true, right? You know, it's our judgment of ourselves that is, you know, the thing that brings us back, right? It's if we can let go of judging where we are and judging our, you know, what's happening, and judging our meditations, or you know, it's not, nothing's happening, it's not working, right? You know, it is, right? We just have to trust. We have to trust, trust, trust. You know, it's surrendering and knowing that you are that. You already are that. You don't have to do anything. You just have to let it go. You just have to allow. And it's much simpler. We make things so complicated. The process of trying to find the 0 point, or trying to find samadhi, right? I mean, you know, we could call it many things. But it is just a feeling, right? When we drop in, and especially if you sit down and you don't have no time limit. Like I've done this before when I was meditating a lot. When I first woke up, I was living in the mountains and I was meditating hours and hours a day. And when you have no time limit on your meditation, and you're just like, well, you know, and I recall one time I had been meditating for like you know, over an hour. And I was like, okay. And I was, you know, doing breath, and I was, you know, I'm not sure. I think it was toning. I was doing breath and toning. And then once after an hour, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sit. I'm just gonna be. And it was like, whoosh, right? And when you just let it go and you stop trying, you stop efforting, and you just, this opening just, and then, you know, you know, whatever you're meant to experience. For me, it was, you know, the voice of the spirit coming in, and I was, you know, hearing very audibly messages. But that had never happened before until I just stopped trying, you know, and I just let it be and just allowed. And you can practice this. This is one of my favorite practices, is when I'm feeling tense, or I'm like, you know, oh, you know, not now, right? Like I can't go into this airport now. You know, like, are you kidding? Is just allow. Like, don't even try to go to the 0 point. Just allow. And the energy of allowing is so soft. You can even, like, you can just feel it now. Like when you know, want to connect with that energy, you connect with it first. And I love what you said about connecting, because we connect, you know, initially, because we have to remember. But eventually we resonate with it. And there's a difference between connecting and resonating, right? So once we start resonating with it, we become it, right? There's no, I'm not different than the energy of allowing. I am it. It is me. And so there's no separation between me and it. And I am allowing, and I become the energy of allowing. And that's when we embody that. We embody that energy, rather than having to think, okay, let me connect to it. And then eventually, it's the more we do that, the more permanency it has, right? And that's just the same with everything, right? The same with all of the higher frequencies that we are, right? We just have to allow it and just have an intention. You know, our intentions are key. Doing everything intentionally. I mean, every moment of our existence should be intentional. because we can use every moment to awaken if we hold that intention. So there's so many juicy ways of allowing ourselves to come back home.
I
Yeah.
love that. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. And especially, I just want to focus on one little point. It is about, yes, at the beginning, you're breathing, you're chanting, you're doing mantras, you're looking at a candle, whatever it happens to be, for however long you want. And then at some point, you let that go and you
Mm.
just be, right?
Yeah.
So I know that there are some people who do like energy healing, etc., you know, for the community, for the collective, for the planet, all that stuff, which is great. Do that and then let go and do nothing. Just be, right? I think people are not used to just being because we're told in our society, do, right? So you got to do it. But the thing is, the more that you can, do and then, get comfortable, and then it's like, okay, now I'm just going to be, because the doing is just helping you to calm your mind, quiet the mind, still your body a little bit, make your body calmer, calm down the emotions so that you can be and experience that stillness, experience that 0 point. That's the only the, it's a tool to get you to that point where you can allow yourself to just be. So
Yeah.
please, get that part, guys. It's like, yes, do the chanting for a few minutes if you need to, just to quiet the mind, calm the breathing, calm your body, calm the nervous system, and then take a few minutes and just be and see what that difference is. So I just wanted to really point that out because that was so important, so key. So Avalina, I know we're going to do an activation and transmission with breathwork a little bit later, but we also have some people with their hands raised that have questions, and I forgot to mention at the beginning. Sorry, folks. If you have a question and you'd like to work with or speak with Avalina, you can raise your hand or you can type your question in the chat. Would that be okay to take a few
Yeah,
questions?
absolutely. Mhm.
All right. So Jennifer was on a long time ago, and she raised her hand right away. So I was like, "All right, Jennifer, you want to unmute?"
Hey, Shafali.
Hi.
Um, so many things to say. First, I appreciate you taking me. I do realize there are multiple ways for callers to be called on. And you know what you said at the very beginning, and I don't mean this as an insult at all, but it's just telling the truth that it just made me cry because I'm you. I
Mm.
literally do the same thing. When you said, how do I choose? I felt like maybe I shouldn't be raising my hand. I'm taking somebody else's spot that needs it more. I am desperate when I usually raise my hand first and fast. And I had to realize that, but I also, we care. We just care too much. You and I are
Yeah.
very alike. I took care of my mother for years and I'm still doing it, but she's in a nursing home, but I feel like I'm doing the same thing. I hurt myself in order to help her. I never put myself first. When I do, I get hurt usually, and I'm in the position now where I'm starting to get physical symptoms,
Mhm.
and it's all on the right side of my body. Like my right ear feels full, my right neck has a knot, my right shoulder is doing something, my right wrist hurts. And even as you were talking, my right wrist hurt more, which I thought was interesting. And when Avalina talks about the 0 point, years ago I found a space that I was able to get into, and I just had to like sit down, settle down, and just close my eyes and just take a deep breath and just let it out calmly with no purpose. It has to be that way, I found out. And then I go into this other place. I call it the zone because I can't express what it feels like. But when you talk about the 0 point, I think that's what it is, or maybe the opening to it. So I'm wondering if I'm actually getting to that place. I've just been doubting it completely because I'm so caring of other people. I kind of forget myself. And I think, why bother take care of myself? Because I can't take care of my mom right now. Why should I feel better?
Yeah, well, I'll add to that. So let me ask you this. When you went into that space that you're describing, how did it feel for you?
Everything me just relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe not my muscles, but it was this wave that kind of goes through, and I can feel it just goes,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
it's
mind?
quiet and calm. It's
Yeah,
just spacious.
right. So are
Yeah.
you able to do that on an ongoing basis, or are you just describing this one particular time?
No, I usually try to do it right before I go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that I can get a good night's sleep. I can, you know, have a
Yeah.
clearer mind. But one time I can't do it is when I really need it the most. Like I'm getting really upset because something's happening with my mom at the nursing home. I'm in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I attempt to, I just can't get there, and instead I just explode. And I don't know if that's normal. Like, oh, that's just one of those days, and it's not the other kind of day, you know?
Yeah. Well, there's no wrong or right way to go about it, right? We all find our own unique way. Um, but I would try practicing it, or sitting. I don't even like the word practice, at other times rather than making it more of a ritual. Try connecting when you're sitting out in nature, right? That's a great way to help release the thoughts. And take what I'm sensing around you, that it's like there's a lot of pressure, like you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to do it, right? Like I got to do this kind of
Yes.
energy. And when we're in that kind of energy, we sort of like push it away, right? We push it away. And so I would say start with like where you can get yourself in a place of gratitude, and like uh think even if it's like coming up with things that you're grateful for, before you sit, and then get into that energy of gratitude. Think of all the things that you need to get you there, and then drop into allowing everything that's happening, your mother, all these things. It's all in perfect divine orchestration. Everything that happens to your mother is perfectly divinely orchestrated for her. No one knows her better than her higher self, right? And her higher self is in charge. So all you need to do is worry about you, right? Because we have to start from within, right? And then that ripples out. So take that pressure off of am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Right? Like that's the thinking mind. No such thing. It doesn't even exist, right? It's simple. It's simple and simple and simple. Use your breath, right? You're doing it. You have the intention. The intention, we have to trust, right? Trust in your intention and trust that it's happening for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for sharing. Tanya, you want to unmute?
Yeah. Hello. Hello, Avalina. Hello, Lara. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I have maybe a little bit odd question. It comes out of my mind rather than out from my heart. I was very much into manifesting last year, and because I believe that our thoughts and beliefs create our reality. But then when I talked to one energy healer, she said, yes, but what you create, but you have divine kind of plan, and you don't know how much you create and how much is divine plan, and stuff like divine timing and bigger picture which you may not see. So how much is of whatever we create in this matrix we live in is us? How much is divine plan? And if there is divine plan, what is me doing here to create something?
Mm-hmm. I love this question because they're the same thing, right?
Mm,
How much of it is your higher self and how much is of it you? They're the same, right? It's just the awareness of of how you're creating, right?
Mm.
So everything that's occurring, right, is happening from you, right? We're navigating through this 3D matrix and we're making choices, and it's unfolding perfectly. We all come in with a blueprint, right? And that's, you can't escape your blueprint, right? You can't, you know, your lessons and things, how it looks on the 3D level is not so important to your higher self. You can navigate through it this way, you can navigate through it this way. It doesn't matter. You're still going on the same path. You're still going to be learning the same lessons. It may look a little different if you make this choice. It may look a little different if you make that choice. So let even that go. Let that go of you know, who's in control, right? The universe is in control, right? Everything, just allow everything that comes up, allow every experience. This is perfect for me. This is perfect for me. And know that if you are following your heart, then you will fall into a flow, you know, as Shefali was referring to earlier, and you'll feel it. You'll feel it. And it may not look like you want it to, but it'll have a purpose. You know, sometimes things will happen and it will be like, wow, this is unfortunate, right? Or this isn't really what I wanted or what I expected or how I wanted my life to look like, right? But but on the other side of that is something that is there for us to embody, that is going to allow us for the freedom that we're looking for. Does that make sense? We can stop judging the experiences and seeing the beauty in all of it, and knowing that, yes, everything is divinely orchestrated. And yes, I am participating in it with my higher self. We're not separate, right?
Well, it's easier for me, gets easier for me to surrender and just trust the universe to kind of guide me.
Yeah.
And because I've been guided since I was a child. And yet I do want to make some, you know, some noise, as I would say, make
Yeah.
some things that I want to do today, like now. You know, maybe I push myself too hard. Maybe, as I said, I thought I have to do, not have to do, I need to do, as you said, you know, go with the flow and just completely surrender.
If there's something that you're like, you know, you want to step into and you're wanting the shift to happen, whatever it is, when you trust,
Mm.
it's the greatest feeling, and it is the most freedom you can feel, because when you trust, there's no need for courage. Like, what,
Mm.
you don't need courage when you trust. Like, really
Yeah.
allow that to sink in. We don't need courage if we trust. You know, courage is for the mind, right? We tell ourselves we need courage, but when we trust, it's like having a warm blanket with you wherever you go, right? It just, you know that whatever you are wanting, whatever you're desiring, is unfolding. We have to be patient and allow it to unfold the way the universe is going to bring it to us. And that's where you find freedom in those moments. You find the freedom in the process, in the steps that may not feel so good. You'll find the freedom in it. You don't have to have the weight and the uncomfortableness as you're moving through, you know, the steps of getting where you want to go. You could find the freedom in that. And
Trust. Yeah.
it's simple if we allow it.
I just want to say really quickly, because my mind is like screaming at me wanting to say something. It's like it's like, this does not mean that you don't take any action.
Mhm.
We're not waiting for the universe to do everything. Don't forget that you are the universe. So when I was last year, and not last year, last year and the year before, when I was taking my psychology and neuroscience courses, one of the things I learned was really interesting. That before you actually make a decision, before you actually take an action, the neurons are already firing. So that, for me, that meant my higher self or the universe or whatever has already started to take action on it. It's already moving. The energy is already moving, right? So even before we have consciously decided anything, chosen anything, or taken the first step in anything, the neurons are already firing. They've already started the process. So are we? Do we really have any free will or choice? No. But at the same time, we're always guided by the universe, by our higher self, by our soul, by our spirit. They are the ones who are in control. When we are trying to be in control, that's our mind. Our mind is, again, just a construct that's created for this reality, right? And so you still have to take action. You still have to do, but trust that when you're doing whatever you're doing, whatever you're experiencing is for your highest good, is what it's supposed to be. And I think that's what Avalina is trying to share. It's about the trusting and allowing. It's going to help you to surrender more, but that does not mean not doing anything. I really want people to get that. You still have to take action. Avalina is still taking action by being on the show, for example, right? She didn't just show up here. We had a conversation. She sent me information. I created the special offer page. I sent her the Zoom info. She came on the Zoom. She was still doing stuff, but she's trusting in the universe, in the process, in everything that is happening for her highest good and the highest good of all, and for her mission, and blah 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 blah. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. I just did.
So you still have to make choices, take actions, make decisions, but trust that whatever is unfolding is happening for your highest good through the universe, through spirit, etc.
I just did human design.
I always like to share that if you take one step towards your intention, one action, the universe will unfold the next 10 for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you don't do anything and you're just waiting for the universe to give you a sign, you'll be waiting forever.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't always work like that in my life. But yeah, I know what you mean about taking action. Yeah, absolutely agree on taking action.
Yeah. Otherwise, how's it going with your videos? How's your YouTube channel? I'm still waiting.
I start tomorrow, I'll start tomorrow.
So you cannot just have a desire. You cannot just say, I want this.
I know. One day
I'm not saying for you. That was just an example, but I'm saying for everybody.
I absolutely
you still have to take the
disappointed with
actions.
myself. But I shouldn't be disappointed with myself, because
No, don't. It's not about being disappointed. It's like saying, okay, I'm not in alignment with that yet. But you will be in alignment when you take that action. Then you'll be like, okay, now I'm in alignment. Now, so it's okay. It's all perfect.
Absolutely, you're right.
So there's no judgment there, but I want you to really think about it. It's not just, I want this. Well, you still got to then you don't obviously want it badly enough. And there's no judgment there. You obviously don't want it badly enough. Otherwise, you would have done it already.
Yeah.
6 months ago, a year ago, you would have already done it. Right?
Yeah. Something
So
always
it was not the perfect timing. Maybe today is, maybe tomorrow is. I don't know. But nobody will know until you actually take that action, and then we'll know. Now it's divine timing.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies. It helps.
So hopefully that helps.
It does.
Yeah, it's yeah. Thank you, Tanya. It's a big topic, especially this piece especially is a huge topic, and I think this is something that we could talk about for hours, honestly.
Yeah, we could really go down the rabbit hole of free will. I mean, ultimately, there is only one free will, and that is the will of source, and everything else
exactly.
If we really want to distill it down,
and everything is a reflection of that.
Mm-hmm. And when we're in alignment with that will of source, with our higher selves, things flow really quickly.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. So it's all good. So just really quickly, there was just 2 quick questions in the chat. Seema, I'm not sure if Avalina has an answer for this, but she said, can you also guide me? My country is going through a warlike situation with so much uncertainty around. Your 2 cents will help.
Well, the first thing that drops in with that is to not identify with the warring frequency, right? Like, we don't want to get caught up in fighting, like, having a judgment against the war, because when we're like, oh, this shouldn't be happening, and because then we're sort of jumping in the rabbit hole with it, right? We're jumping in that frequency of warring, right? So if we can just allow whatever is taking place it's going to unfold, right? We know it's going to unfold in the way that is meant to unfold. So if we can find our own neutrality with that, right? Can we find our own peace of, allowing people to do what they need to do for themselves or for their country, and it may not be what we want, but if we hold on to that contraction around it and let it bring it into our body, then we're contributing to that energy, we're contributing to that warring frequency, and we want to be doing the opposite, right? We want to just have compassion for those who are making these calls and judgments in our governments, and et cetera, and just trust that it is all going to unfold perfectly, right? Just trust, and not try to get so caught up in that world of politics, I would say, because it's definitely playing out lots of duality, and that's, not where we really want to be in our heart right now.
Yeah. I mean, you can always send blessings. There's many places in the world where there are wars going on right now, but you can send blessings. But then try and stay as neutral as possible, because remember, we are not of one country or another. We are not even of this planet, to be really more direct. We are multidimensional beings, right? We're just having an experience here right now.
Yeah.
Okay?
And why even identify as I am American, or I am this, I am that, right? It's another identification, right? When even identifying with our country, and it doesn't mean that we don't have like a sense of you know love for how we grew up and where, but we don't need to identify as that, because ultimately, what's the difference? But if this country's at war, or that country's at war, if people are dying, people are dying. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
what country they are in. We're all the same, right? We're all coming from the same unity.
Well, I, for one, feel bad for the people who are dying and suffering, and the families, whatever country they're in. There's, like, again, there's many wars happening all over the world, right?
Right.
So, you know, and for the collective consciousness, it's a very sad day. Absolutely. So, yeah, sending unconditional love, light, and blessings to all the different places in the world where there is war happening would be even better, I think. So yeah, it's not fun. I'm trying to stay out of it. My parents are watching the news and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, I just just sending blessings, to everywhere.
Yeah, you can really get caught up in that energy, and sometimes you just have to back away and go back into your heart, not
Yeah,
let it pull you.
yeah. So Linda was asking, how do we redirect the situation if rough problems affect the consciousness of the collective? Does just one person is able to redirect, and is that bringing out a better situation? I don't know if one person alone can do a lot. That's why there are so many monks and saints praying in mountains for humanity. So there's a lot of them praying for humanity. But even one person can make a difference, right? In the collective consciousness, for sure. And that's like I think there's so many stories about, can one person really do anything? Well, yeah, and if everybody thought that, then nobody would do anything. So of course, even one person can make a shift in the light that's coming onto the planet, to light being sent to these war ravaged countries, for example. Even that one little bit can help the situation a little bit more. I don't know if that helped, but we can all work to redirect the situation if we're coming from a place of neutrality and no judgment, right? If we just want to bring the situation to a higher vibration, higher frequency, and assist the collective to move forward instead of continuing to stay, for example, in the warring energy. Absolutely, we can help to redirect that.
Yeah.
But again, from that place of neutrality, not from an agenda. Right, Avalina?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll also add to that, you know, it's easy to forget this, but we're moving so much more, all of us individually, collectively, into more light and more light. And what happens when that happens is we see more shadow. Right, we see more. So, you know, we're opening the closets and we're shining the light on the collective, and we're seeing darkness that has always been there. It's just been buried, but now it's all in our face, right? We're seeing it. It's not that all this energy was never there before. It's just coming up to the surface for us to be aware of it, right? All coming aware, more aware of what all these warring frequencies that have always been there, so we can dissolve it. So if we can hold that perspective, wow, what a game changer, right? Like, it's, you know, it's always been there. These energies have always been there. We're shining the light on it, and we're allowing it to come to the surface so we can all see it, witness it, and dissolve it.
Yeah, absolutely. So she says, yes, it helps. I was mostly thinking of those who are repressed by narcissistic people. So as somebody who was also repressed by a narcissistic person, that was my choice to not be in my power, you know, because it's a power game, and it's I didn't even realize, to be honest, that I was dealing with someone who I just thought, oh, that's just the way he is. But anyways, but I was giving away my power. I was letting him be a certain way, and putting myself lower so that not to inconvenience him or that kind of thing. So we have to understand that if you are repressed by anybody, you know, by anybody, it's up to you to come back into your power and say, no, I'm going to stand up for myself. I am, again, a multidimensional being of light. I'm not a small, insignificant person. Nobody has power over me, because nobody does, right? And we forget that, right? We sometimes try and be the peacemakers. We sometimes try and make sure that we're the mediators, and we don't want to ruffle feathers and this and that and the other thing. But all we're doing is dimming our own light. We're putting veils over ourselves. Anyways, Avalina, what do you think?
Yeah, you know, everything's a choice, and we are the chooser of our choices. So exactly, you know, we have to choose, and we have to realize that the circumstances that we put ourselves in was our choice as well, because it was the best avenue, perhaps, to wake us up at that moment, right? If we ended up putting ourselves in a situation, then ultimately that's what we chose to, you know, turn us around, right? To wake us up, to help us remember who we are, remember our sovereignty, remember our power.
And remember, it's not like we're consciously choosing it. The choices are happening. We're making those choices based on our belief systems, by our thoughts, by our emotions, by our stories, by our past. So it's not like in this conscious moment right now, oh yeah, I'm going to repress myself by this narcissistic person. No, it doesn't. That's not how it works. But once you start to see it, then it's your responsibility to, I think, do something about it. Not easy, so, right? But it's about starting to become aware of who you are, starting to remember, like Avalina says, who you truly are. And again, so many of us have played out different stories in different lifetimes. Um, and maybe, you know, maybe I was a narcissistic person in another lifetime. I don't know. It's possible, right? And that's why I was able to experience it the other side this time around. Shortly, just for a short time, thank God. But you know what? It is what it is. And so, you know, you have to remember, I think it's so important to remember who we are as multidimensional beings of light, that we have had so many different experiences. Every single type of experience you can imagine, you probably had. At this point in our evolution of consciousness, the people that are on these types of calls, you have been through the thick and thin and everything. You've been through it all. You know it. And so it's about remembering to come back to who we are, to the 0 point, to our center, and remembering that we are source. We are a fractal of source, or an expression of source, a spark of source creation. We are that. And we're just having an experience. And I say just lightly, but you know what I mean. It's just an experience for us to learn, expand, grow, etc., and come back home to who we truly are. Remember who we are.
Amen.
Sometimes I get on my soapbox and I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So hopefully that helps. So just remember who you are, come back to, your 0 point, come back to who you are. And I don't blame the narcissistic person or anybody else. There's no blame here. It's not about blame. It's about, I had this experience, or I'm having this experience, but I'm starting to wake up to who I am. And then it's your choice of, do I continue with this or do I do something different? But again, everything that is happening to us is happening for us so that we will remember who we are. Right? So, and all of that is being guided by source, creator, your higher self. It's all being guided. So there's no judgment, there's no blame. It's sometimes it's hard to say, I'm grateful for the experience. It was fantastic. No, it was not fantastic, but I'm grateful for the experience because of where I am now, if that makes sense, right? I got through it, and then this is what I learned about myself. This is what I remember about myself. This is what brought me back to me, etc.
Yeah.
Okay?
When we move on from this life, when each one of us moves on from this life, we will look back and be in awe of our journey. We'll be like, wow, that was amazing. Like the best movie drama that ever existed, right? And we will be in awe of what we've experienced, even the traumas.
Yeah.
We'll look back
I think
and
so too.
cherish this experience.
Yeah, exactly. When we're in it, it's not so much, but after the fact, definitely, and yeah, we've experienced a lot, we've learned a lot, we've grown a lot, we have experienced so much that our consciousness is not even the same as it was, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever happens to be, right? So we've changed so much. So, clap yourself or pat yourself on the back, right, for all that you've been through and experienced and where you are now. Okay, that was a lot of talking on my part. Me too, just asking as an example because I came out of it. But for those who might still be caught in that cycle, yeah. So you came out of it, right? And that's great. And so now you can be a teacher or a model for those who are still in it. But from a place of non-judgment, from a place of no blaming, just from a place of neutrality and experience. Right? Right. Okay, so we are going to do the activation and transmission. I know some of you are just waiting anxiously for it, but before that, I want to just quickly talk about the packages that that Avalina has. 1 second, I'm going to share my screen, and then we will do that. 1 second. Oh my goodness, this was such a wonderful conversation, Avalina. I was like, oh my God. I loved it. All right, so Avalina has 2 packages available for us today. And the first one is the Returning to the 0 Point Within Crystalline DNA Activations, Transmissions of Sound and Light Codes with Breathwork Integration. It's a 3-week live series, so I'm going to let Avalina explain a little bit about it.
Yeah, so each week we'll be diving into a deep experience of breath work with a transmission, and it'll be a massive opportunity to release and embody, through our 0 Point technology within our high heart, and dissolving, whatever we each desire to dissolve, and because there's so many different programs and systems. So within the 3 weeks, we're really harnessing the potential of moving forward in the fast lane and really having a significant access and interface of the 0 Point field that we'll be accessing together. So we're going to go big and dissolve and let go, and we'll be building a greater awareness through curiosity, free of judgment, what we're participating in, who we're identifying as, what is our relationship with ourself, with time, and really start to open up these fields of clarity to see how that might, be playing out and limiting our potential. So we'll have built some clear intentions through our awareness of our relationship with our reality. And we'll continue, to go into these meditative transmissions of light and sound with the breath, and we will dissolve. We'll begin to feel and participate and witness the dissolve of these programs and how they've been interfacing with our nervous system and interfacing with our emotional body, and, and how we react versus respond to life. So many different layers and levels of clearing and cleansing and activating will take place, through the breath and with combination of the transmissions.
Awesome. So that's starting in 2 weeks, right? So on Thursday, May 22nd, and then May 29th, and then June 5th, and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. And there are recordings for people if they can't attend live, right?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. So that's package A. And then package B, of course, is everything in package A, plus a personal session with Avalina. So Avalina, a little bit about that. Can you explain a little bit about what's included in that, or what happens in a personal session?
Yeah, so we'll dive deep into what is particularly coming up for you, or what is most wanting to be dissolved in your field, and usually that's guided by your higher self. And you may come with intentions also, but usually what ultimately unfolds is what is the most relevant in your field that is coming and asking to be dissolved. So I'll hold a space for that, for the transformation, for the integration, for the further embodiment of calling those pieces of your soul, your higher self, back into your full embodiment. There'll be channeled insight from your higher self, messages from your guides during the session, and I will do some toning, some clearing. There may be some light language to help the process of integration.
Awesome. So that's the personal session with Avalina. So please do check out these 2 packages. There's some wonderful testimonials and feedback from people who have worked with Avalina in the past. Check those out. There's a fuller bio here as well if you'd like to know more about Avalina. And again, these 2 packages, there's payment plans available for both. And if you are an Inner Circle member, please use your gift code as well. So thank you so much, Avalina. Where are we now? So we are going to I'm not sure what that means. Awesome, Ina. Coming of age during Woodstock puts this conversation in crystal clear perspective. Awesome. Appreciate the discussion and the support it provides for me. Good. All right, so Avalina, let us move on to the activation and transmission. Oh my goodness. I remember last time it was so powerful, so I'm excited.
Yeah. So we'll just let everyone get comfortable. You can have, be seated, or you can be lying down. You may want to have water nearby because your mouth may get dry during the breath. You may want a blanket. The body tends to get cold as it releases. May not, but you might want to have one nearby. So in my experience and through my own practice, the further connection with the 0 point and being able to truly, connect and start to resonate and become that enveloped in that field, right, of your true self, the breath is a massive friend through this journey, and it really helps to bring us fully present where we can facilitate that to happen. So if you're having some form of resistance to the breath, it may be your higher self saying, yes, you're the one I'm talking to. The breath is going to be extremely beneficial. So the breath we're going to be doing today is going to be a 2-part breath. It's all through the mouth, right? So we're going to inhale through the belly, inhale heart, and exhale all through the mouth. So it's going to sound something like this. Well, let me turn my original sound on so you can. here. Okay, so it's going to sound something like this. So we're inhaling belly, inhale heart, exhale. And you really want to try to get the breath to be really deep. You know, the deeper the breath, the more audible the breath, the more present you're going to be with the breath. You don't have to go crazy, but you don't, if you find your breath getting really shallow and kind of soft, kind of amp it up just a little bit, right? You may get tingling in your hands, which is called tetany, right? Because if you're not used to breath work, oxygen flows in the extremities that it may not be used to, and you may get some tingling. That's totally normal, and not to worry about that. So get comfortable, however you'd like to be, seated or laying down. Just take some quick clearing breaths, relax, really connecting as a community, as a one community of unified consciousness, and this grand flow of intention of further connecting to our own unique expression of the 0 point within, that neutral point, that portal within our high heart that allows for us to navigate through the field of the everything and the no thing, throughout all dimensions with ease and grace. So having your eyes closed, dropping into your heart, really giving yourself the space to let go of everything outside and around you, letting go of your to-do list, any worrying, any distractions. Really allow yourself to come into the sweet melody of your own heart song. Taking some inhales, taking some exhales, really allowing the bodies to begin to attune to greater receptivity. Letting out a large exhale, letting it all go, letting all the discussion go, and bringing in the breath, bringing in that two-part breath. As you're breathing, relaxing the body, letting go of tension, giving yourself full permission to be here, full permission to connect with the breath, to be the breath, to become the breath, finding a fluid rhythm with the breath. Letting go with each and every breath. With each and every breath I take, I let go. I let go of the worries, the thoughts, letting go of my external reality, letting go of what's occurred today, what I need to do, what I'm needing to know, needing to control, needing to hold on to, the stories, letting it go, melting, relaxing, melting, dissolving, letting it go, breathing and releasing, breathing and releasing. I release, I let go. My full attention, my full awareness on the breath. There is nothing else in this moment other than me and the breath. There is no time. There is no past. There is no future. It is just me and the breath. I listen to my breath. I hear my breath. I am the breath. I become the breath. I am not separate from the breath. Breathing. Taking the breath a little deeper, deeper, deep into the spaces and places in between, into the sides of the belly, the back of the belly, into the sides of the heart. Breathing deep, deeper and deeper and deeper. With every breath I take, I ignite the infinite creator that I am. I release, I melt away, I transmute all the layers of suffering, illusion, of fear, of pain, unworthiness, scarcity, victimhood, victimizer, not enough. I let it all go. I transmute, I let it go. I transmute, I let it go. I transmute, going deeper and deeper and deeper with each and every breath. I am the breath. Breathing, keeping a deep, robust breath, opening the breath up wide and deep within, allowing ourselves to melt, to expand, to become. As we become one with the breath, as we become one as the unified field of earth, air, fire, water, we ignite our highest alchemical potential, breathing, becoming one with the breath. As we feel a radiant, calm, diamond white plasma light beginning to flow down and through and all around us, attuning all of our bodies, our physical body, our mental body, our emotional body, our spirit body, to the harmonizing flow of peace, clarity, and unity, flowing down and through, clearing, cleansing, activating, nourishing, holding us, feeling a sense of sweet guidance, of sweet nourishment, flowing in and through and all around. As we allow ourselves to feel this, we begin to feel our nervous system melting. We begin to feel our muscles relaxing. We begin to feel our heartbeats attuning to a soft rhythm, a rhythm free of all fight or flight, a rhythm that takes us into the greater and greater depths of pure potential, free of all warring frequencies, free of all limitation. We allow ourselves patience so that our bodies can fully receive and attune to these frequencies. We allow ourselves the space and the grace to simply be, breathing, breathing, staying with the breath, staying with the breath. I am the breath. Is all the beings here to assist us, along with your guides, bringing in this luminous, pure diamond light into our heart centers, pouring, flowing, bringing our awareness down into the center of our heart, feeling the center point, feeling that pinpoint in the center of our heart, feeling how it emanates from you like a line that goes through time, through space, into infinity. You could follow this line into infinity, into the future, into the past, the entire past of all that you know. It is not through the mind that we travel, it is through the heart. this pinpoint. It is a portal. It is your portal through time and space, through all dimensions. That 0 point frequency, that point of all creation, that point that lies between and in every dimension, that pinpoint of infinity, balanced, neutral. It does not have a sense of self. It only knows all. Staying with the breath, staying with a deep, robust breath. I am the breath. I am the 0 point. Feeling a depthful flow of peaceful, harmonizing light flowing in and through as you go deeper and deeper and deeper into pure resonance with your heart center. And begin to feel this field flowing within and throughout and all around. A deep remembrance activating within, a remembrance of who you are and why you are here, beyond any of the limitations of time, beyond any warring frequency of time. You feel a sense of childlike innocence flowing in and through, opening, releasing, flowing, opening, releasing, flowing. You feel this radiant, pure white light flowing down and through the central channel now. Down and through, harmonizing, balancing, attuning all of your meridians and chakras to the flow of pure creation, uninhibited by time, uninhibited by anything that exists within your physical, mental, emotional, and spirit bodies. As though you feel an instantaneous dissolve of so much density releasing, and a felt sense of light, a weightlessness, restoring within each and every cell of your body. You feel the frequencies of unity restored, vibrating, activating, opening you, and you begin to remember, I am love. I am love. I am love. I remember. I remember. I remember. Breathing, breathing, flowing, releasing, letting go. I let go. I let go. I let go. I am free. I am free. I am free. I remember. I remember. I am pure, immaculate clarity. I am. I am pure, immaculate clarity. I am. I am pure, immaculate clarity. I am. Breathing, relaxing, breathing, relaxing. As we breathe, we feel this beautiful diamond blue, the luminous light from Gaia coming up and through our central channel, up to our heart. We feel nurtured and held by Gaia. We feel the presence of our connection with Gaia. We feel how we are not separate from Gaia. Feeling the harmonizing, the balancing, as we resonate with her core energy, as we resonate with the crystal core of Gaia. Feeling as though we are held, nurtured, knowing that this is our home, We, as the 0 point, are home in our physical bodies, home on this planet. Wherever we are is our home. We claim this dominion as our home. We allow ourselves to be here fully. We allow ourselves to be in our physical temples, held by Gaia, resonating with her field, feeling this light flowing up through our channel, feeling the physical elements moving up and through our channel, the elements that connect us, the elements that we are. Letting it all go, letting all the densities be absorbed and transmuted. Feeling ourselves being grounded, feeling ourselves coming back into our spaces, back into our bodies, back into our surroundings. With gratitude, with gratitude, with gratitude. Grateful for our experience, grateful for these bodies, grateful for being here, grateful for the evolution. Feeling our connection, feeling the connection of our feet on the ground, feeling the connection of whatever we're sitting on. Allowing ourselves to come back into our bodies, coming back into the here and now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it is, and so it is, and so it is.
Thank you. I'm squinting, like don't really want to open my eyes, but that was beautiful, so powerful. I loved it. I was able to do the breathing. I'm so happy. I
Yeah, it
got
gets
it.
easier when the more you do it, it becomes second nature. And there's lots of
Yeah.
different types of breath, but yeah, it does get easier.
Yeah, no, that was very powerful. I really enjoyed it. So, how's everyone doing? If you want to type in the chat, for those of you who are back, let us know how that was for you. But I'll be honest, when I was, I honestly didn't hear a lot of the words at the beginning. I was just in the breath, just like, so it's like, it was like, I was just like, not paying attention to what you were saying to be honest. And then when after a while, I did stop the breathing and I was just being. And it was absolutely beautiful. Yeah, it was very hard to come back, Linda. Yeah, I agree. But that was great. Tanya says I can go straight to bed. Yes, you definitely can. It was late there in the UK for sure. Um, any last words of wisdom for us, Avalina? I mean, because cannot really talk now, but and as
Yeah,
a thank you, I'll
it's
do the replay for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
there's no words when you come out of um when you allow yourself to go into a deep space. It's you just want to kind of revel in the
Yeah, exactly.
energy, and this is exactly what we'll be doing in our time together, and really cultivating that for yourself, so you can have this space, right, in at any point in time, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whether you're preparing food or on a walk, right? We're cultivating this space where we can have this sense of deep peace and bliss and ecstasy, no matter what we're doing. And this is our true nature. This is who we are. It's just been sort of programmed out of us and we've forgotten. So this is available to us whenever we choose, right? Choosing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Tanya says I wanted to stay there longer. Yeah, for sure. And you can, right? So when you're doing this again on your own, you can just, pause the recording and stay in that space. Um, Annette will do the replay for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And so, Annette, how was that? If you're still here, if you're still here, how was it for you? because it's about being in allowance, right? So being in allowance and just being in that space, in that state, and allowing yourself just to surrender and experience. It's so for me, it's always so experiential, and it's different, and but I for one went really deep, so my mind didn't really wander very much, which is great. But when I did catch it, it's like it was just so easy to come back, right? And so that does happen. Your mind is going to wander from time to time, but you just gently come back. Um, yeah, because it's like I can't remember anything that you happened to say during the whole thing, Evelina. I'll be
That's
honest. I
okay.
was like
Yeah, that's
just
perfect.
being, right? So it was
Mhm.
beautiful. I loved it. So thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
yeah, Andrea says, I just love breath work. Thank you. Still tingling. All the stuff I felt. Kept struggling to keep the rhythm of breath, yawning, burping, stomach gurgle, tingling all over, especially in my mouth. Saw light and then rainbow colors. Oh, good, awesome. I
Cool.
mean, there was one point where I had a sip of my drink, so it's like it doesn't have to be like continuous, right? As long as you're comfortable with it and we're willing to just be. Um, no, it was powerful. So I thank you. And yeah, happy Mother's Day to everyone celebrating this weekend for sure. I will be celebrating on Sunday as well. Um, yeah.
Yeah. If you'll notice the more breath you do, like you can allow yourself actually to go into a very deep journey, and the breath can be equivalent to doing medicine work. You know, plant medicines like ayahuasca and the breath is a medicine, and you can actually experience pretty profound deep journeys when you participate in a long journey of breath, which we'll be doing, probably a good 45 minutes of breath in the times we meet. So it can be very transformational.
Yeah, absolutely. Very powerful. And the breath is a vehicle for uh, connection, but of being, of being in your 0 point within.
Yeah.
Linda says, thank you. Wonderful and beautiful transmission. Yes, absolutely. So yes, I will. And thank you everybody for all your questions. This was such a wonderful conversation today. And that says, I look at an inanimate object and notice a point on my body at the same time. Spatial reference. Awesome. Good. Yeah. Awesome. Ina says, at one point I fell asleep and woke up gently refreshed before the end. Awesome. Yeah, that can definitely happen too. Andrea says, I believe that now I'm giggling. Why
Beautiful.
not? Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Why not? So yes, I will have the recordings out a little bit later today. We'll be back next week. It's like I'm still in that space, in that state. So it's like, what am I
It's
doing
hard to get
next
the
week? I don't
brain to
know.
come back.
I know, right? And it's like, yeah, there's shows next week, and so I will be back next week. Mother's Day this weekend, so we'll be celebrating that. Um, but yeah, if please do check out the special offer page and work with Avalina in either package A or package B. Again, the live calls start in 2 weeks. Okay, so just but you can always have your personal session with Avalina anytime. All right.
Right. Yes.
So again, thank you, Avalina. This was beautiful. I loved it. I
Thank
loved the
you.
whole
Thanks so much for
conversation, and
having me.
there's so much to talk about, right? It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
so much to talk about, but the potential is there for all of us um to connect within to that 0 point, to just be in that 0 point more and more, right? Linda, did you want to say something about the process we just did?
Um, no, I was just going to ask her, Avalina, do you have bowls, or do you have some kind of sound that you bring forth for all of us other than the light language?
Are you talking about this today or?
No, when
Oh,
you're doing sessions.
yeah. I do a lot of sound through my own vocal technology, but yeah, I have other sound instruments that I bring forth, and depending on what our intention is, what kind of sound journey that would be. But there's always sound during the breath when we have a breath work.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Linda. All right, everyone. So again, like I said, please do work with Avalina. The sessions, the live sessions begin in 2 weeks, and then the personal sessions you can do at any time. right? So it's going to be a powerful transformational 3-week period. And then, of course, the personal session is going to be powerful and transformational as well. So thank you so much, everyone. And have a great, wonderful weekend. Be safe. Yeah, I can't even talk. So until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all so much love and blessings. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much, Avalina, again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.